All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are live.
Well,
And
I might be undead. You don't know.
live and undead. And
Yeah.
I have my buddy Chris Clark here. Everybody knows him. He plays Terry Orr, the cleric of St. Cuthbert in the game that we supposedly are supposed to talk about during this hour. Doesn't mean we're going to. But yeah, so welcome everybody to the DM and friends. It's just us two tonight. We had a couple people that were backed out tonight because of sleepy time stuff. So sleepy time. So anyways, I see Fred on there. Fred, welcome.
I know Fred agrees. Sleep is for the weak.
Fred plays our dwarf on the Monday game.
A rather gregarious dwarf.
Yeah. So a little recap of the game this weekend, or this last Monday. I think you guys got to. Hello, Fred. Got to the very end of the Temple of Highport. Looks like you kind of cornered the slave lord there. He got away, unfortunately, but it was a glorious battle. I think there was some fun stuff that happened, and then after that, I don't know. Chris, tell him about what happened to the paladin.
Well, yes. The other thing is, you don't remember that I slammed that GPS tracker on him as you never. The paladin, and I give him credit. He plays his character to a T.
He does. He really does.
He really plays
does.
the hell out of that paladin. And so we're downstairs. We have been attacked by giant weasels. Fred, who plays Dixon the dwarf, actually not Fred the dwarf, Dixon the dwarf, and I are both just about dead because these things bleed you, and we're still bleeding. So I'm doing what I can quick to just throw a couple spells on us to stop the bleeding and give us a few points back. And Irving the paladin just goes turn off. Now that's what we saw. Okay. In reality, what Irving saw was the guy that had just backstabbed our bard, who was grievously wounded but not killed, saw a trapdoor in the ceiling at the back of the chamber open and then moments later close. And so he's like, oh, well, that's where Inviso guy went. It's pretty obvious. So he goes pelting after him because, Cuthbert, justice, this guy will not evade justice. Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Dixon the dwarf says, yeah, why did it have to be weasels? Well, because I suppose, Sturges just didn't fit, I guess. Whatever.
Sturges didn't work. Sturges were not tameable by the slave.
So I get a few healing spells out, and I hear this from outside in the courtyard. I hear this very loud, I don't want to call it a scream because it was more of a protest, but at the top of his lungs protest. No, from the paladin. I was like, oh my God, he's getting himself into something. So I go pelting over there, climb the ladder quick, pop out of the trapdoor, and we're outside. There's a night sky overhead, but a surrounding courtyard, and what amounts to looks like a graveyard. Yeah, looks, and I mean, not entirely. There's about a 3.5 foot, 4 foot dais. I'm sorry, that the trapdoor exits onto. And he's jumped down, and I see that he's being drained by a wraith.
Oof.
And I'm like, oh my goodness. So, I'm a 7th level cleric, and I just, whip out the old holy symbol. And it's like, be gone, foul cleric.
Turn, yeah.
Cuthbert don't like you, okay? Get to getting. And he just goes poof, 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 and runs away. But the poor paladin got drained, 2 levels, as I remember.
Well, he has previously been drained. I think when he was 3rd level, he got drained back to level 2. So this is the second time he's been level drained. But yeah, only once. He got hit one time with this time around. Yeah. So it was only once. Yeah.
And of course the
DM rolled really bad, actually. I couldn't hit him after the first time, which is good for the party.
Yeah.
Multiple level drains.
And while the paladin himself is feeling weak and drained, the player, of course, Michael, is feeling a little bit down in the mouth because it takes a long while to make like level 6 paladin.
Yeah.
And so Terry Orr runs up and he goes, hey, a while back, the GM gave me this necklace of prayer beads. I think not realizing how powerful they were, and one of them
Oh
is
my
a
God, is it
summoning bead.
powerful?
Yeah, one of them's a summoning bead. I'll call up Cuthbert. I'll be like, dude, what is it you need from us? Because we need a major restoration to get this man his level back. And the paladin looked at me with the puppy dog that you're showing the treat to that hasn't eaten in 3 weeks. You do that? Oh my goodness! And of course I do that. I mean, I am supposedly, I think a lawful good, either lawful good or neutral good.
You are lawful good, yeah. Lawful good, yeah. Anybody that's following Cuthbert should be
It has to be
lawful.
lawful. Okay.
Lawful neutral, lawful good. I think of the two.
So
You can
of
be,
course of course I'm going to do my best for my. This is somebody that is a paladin of Cuthbert, so I look up to him all the time as being,
he's your partner. He's definitely your partner. Yeah.
And so I'm waiting to see what our GM throws at us for the purpose of, because what a fantastic opportunity if you're the GM and somebody does a God call, and the prayer bead makes it a 90%
effectiveness.
Gimme, I guess is the best way to put it. And I rolled it, and yes, he's coming. Okay, he's not there yet, but he's coming. Okay,
he's coming. He's coming.
And if you're the GM, you've got to play this. I mean, get yourself a new temple for the god. Tell them you need an artifact. Defeat the hated enemy so and so. Something has to be there so that it doesn't become a habit to make the god call. Number one, and if you're the GM and you hate the bead, for instance, I wouldn't be surprised if Cuthbert shows up and goes, okay, I don't like the fact that you've got the red phone for me. Because you're thinking it's going to be nuclear war about once a year, and that's just not right. So I will do this, but I want the prayer bead. Okay. You're going to have to donate that to the church when you get back.
Oh,
or something like that. And then, of course, I'll go into, diplomacy mode. And you sure that you want the prayer bead? Maybe what you really want is the atonement bead, because you don't want me getting a bunch of guys that have done stuff that really upsets you to just get away with it. And the atonement bead would let me do that. You don't want that. You don't want that. Or maybe instead what I could offer you is this. So that would be a grand negotiation of sorts, I'm sure. But of course, I have to maintain the fact that I'm in awe of this superior being who shows up to read the riot act if necessary. But whatever the case might be, and it's just going to be a blast.
I have some pretty good ideas what I'm going to do. Some could be hilarious, some could be very serious. Let me back up a little bit, because you did mention the paladin, and there's a possibility here that people could wonder, like, wait a minute, so why didn't the paladin turn the wraith? Well, the type of paladin that he's playing is from the Dragon Magazine paladin. I'm going to bash the word here. There's an article in there called the plethora of paladins, and it shows it classed out all the different types of paladins for every different alignment, and he chose the lawful neutral lion paladin, which is realistically it's a D12 hit die paladin. Which is amazing. So they're super fighters, but they also have the ability to cast at a certain level magic or clerical spells. And so, but they do not have the ability to lay on hands, and they do not have the ability to turn undead. So that would have been actually, I think at 5th level paladin, you're actually third level cleric. Yeah. So he would have been able to, with the roll of a 20, I think. I'd have to look it up.
It's up there.
It's up there. It's super high. I mean, for you, I couldn't believe it. You said it was an automatic turn. And I said, bullshit. And I'm like, looked at him like, holy crap. Yeah. I mean, I forget your higher level cleric now. But 7th level's pretty decent. Pretty freaking high. Let me go back to this. I'm going to put this back on the stream. So that's number one. He's that type of a paladin, and so number two. How does a deity react. I like what it says in the prayer bead section, because I couldn't believe it when you actually received that magic item.
That was cool. Yeah.
Yeah, and it gives the description of able to. We should actually look it up.
Well, he's looking it up. And just for those who don't know, because I think you skipped over the point, it was actually a random magic item roll.
And I couldn't believe you rolled that too.
Yeah.
Let me see what page that's on in the DMG, the prayer bead.
It's under necklace of prayer beads, and it's like table 7 or 6.
Yeah. Let me actually look that up. A necklace of so it's on page. This magic item is. I mean, if you roll this particular method or what would it be called? Not an ability for I guess an ability or function of the necklace. So it's on page 151 of the DMG. So you could either roll the bead does atonement, does a blessing, curing, karma, bead of summonings, which is what you rolled, and then a bead of wind walking. So first of all, you have to roll to see how many beads you have, and you rolled a pretty high amount, if I recall.
It's either 4 or 5, yeah.
Yeah. So you had that many rolls on there, and you freaking rolled an 18 on a D20, which is what the only option for that. And so it says calls. So the bead of summons does this. It calls the deity, the cleric's deity, 90% probability.
Yeah.
Holy cow. To come to him or her, of course, in material form, not a vision, like literally
right.
You pulled him out of the happy hunting grounds, and he's now standing in front of you.
Yeah.
So depending on this deity's alignment, and then it says right here, in his or her material form, but it had better be for a good reason. I love that part.
Yeah, so, my necklace officially had 4 beads, 2 atonement, 1 curing, 1 summoning.
Yes.
And the atonement, at this level of our party, the atonements are kind of worthless, but that doesn't make the necklace worthless by any stretch of the imagination. Oh my God. I've already had 2 guys resurrected?
Yeah.
At least 1.
I don't recall.
Yeah, at least 1.
I think you did 1 resurrect. Yeah, because you've only called him 1 time, and that was then when you guys were at the Temple of Elemental Evil. Remember? Yeah. And I think that was for resurrecting somebody. I think you're right. Yeah. And he said, I'll give you this one. All right, bye. Yeah.
I think it was Eric Coe's character, as I remember.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, and the drawback. I remember now. Okay, if you come back, if this person comes back, I want him to resign. What was the word? Not resound, but I want you to stop being a thief.
Yes.
And give up that and become a cleric. And that was
remediate. Ooh.
Yeah, there you go. And that was basically the drawback of it. Was not really a bad drawback if you think about it, but basically, if I'm gonna resurrect this heathen, you better change his
stop
heart.
being a heathen. Yeah.
Yeah. So I thought that was funny. So yeah, let's go into that topic.
At the very least, Angelo, as Cuthbert, the NPC, I would demand a new temple. I need a temple to be built in the strong Safeton or the stronghold of the slave.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You're in Highport right there.
Yeah,
that's overrun by orcs and ruled by
build one there. I dare you. And if the temple goes into effect, then he'll receive his level back and blah blah blah.
Well, I don't want to give away what I have in mind or what I'm cooking around in my head, but it's similar to what you're talking about, but maybe a little bit more kind of
finesse
against an opposing deity. So he's going to utilize you guys possibly to edge a little bit against one of his opponents, which I think
you hear me say something like build a new temple to me in Highport, and
what are you gonna have to do to do that?
And then I know in the back of your mind you're thinking, why do people sign up for his events at cons when he's this kind of a DM? Oh my God.
Yeah.
He makes Tim Kask look friendly. You know. And
Like the lady. Yeah.
I did play with Gary a few times, and yeah, he taught me well. I would venture to say.
Yeah.
So
So going into that topic, because like I said, I don't want to talk too much about what I'm going to. We'll talk about it next week. What St. Cuthbert actually demands, or hey, I'll do this, so you got to do that. But how have you ever had any interactions with? Have any of your players interact with deities?
Oh sure. Oh yeah.
Can you think of any good examples or any favorable moments?
Not to bring up an alternate topic. The original Castle Wolfman campaign, for instance, went on for 5 years. So one of our clerics in the group was a 16th level human that was like age 50, which is starting to get old as a character.
Yeah.
And he wished for 19 different things, immortality, and he did a god call and got lucky because I gave them 2% per level is all I gave him.
Yeah.
He didn't have a necklace of prayer beads. He got a bonus for like a candle of invocation or something as well. But and he managed to get his god, and his god demanded a new temple, and that the cleric asking for these boons provide that temple with his own personal training, 3 clerics, the upper level of which would be 4 and the other 2 of at least level 2, so that there would be healing sought at the temple on a regular basis. And it would become a place of, at least initially, commerce, and then, of course, belief and support as time went on. And that was I forget, that deity was Apollo, believe it or not. Somebody that was a follower of Apollo.
Wow.
So, yes. Well, back then, we had the gods, demigods, and typos, deities book out, but, it was still, how do I assume this personality without having to read several books of mythology to really understand the deity? So I basically used to restrict my guys to Nordic, Egyptian, Greek, and Roman gods, and that was it,
God, I remember when that book came out, and I just loved going through. I mean, I feel like that. I always loved mythology, but I feel like that book really got me hungry for all the
some of us have more
exactly.
one. Some of us have more than one.
Yeah, I have a couple myself. I was just looking over one of my shelves over here to see if I had it handy, but it's they're all back there in the.
That's the one I have the fewest copies of because I didn't have friends borrowing it all the time. Just one cleric that borrowed it, and then I had to get another one.
God, those things are going for so much too on RPG auctions and now too. I probably have 5 or 6 copies of them, and a couple of first prints, and then the ones with the apology. But man, those things are even beat up copies are just going for so much. But yeah, what a great book that was.
It was fun.
Yeah. Have you ever seen the one that I think Jim Ward was the one that actually
the little half-size book?
Yeah, let me.
That's the one. Honest to God, that Gary used to call gods, demigods, and typos.
Yeah. Oh, was it really?
Yeah. And no, I do not have my copy anymore. It perished in a flood in 1993.
Oh no.
Yes, I had the whole box set, and the whole box set went to hell. The only thing I saved was, and I think I just sold that because it was worth too much, was Swords and Spells. My Swords and Spells book survived.
You're talking about this right here, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. This is amazing. There was a lot of typos in this.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah.
By the time the water went down in my basement from that flood, it was all mildew, just black mold mildew, garbage. Yeah. Couldn't read the type in it. It was shot.
Fred says we got to get cheeseburger, fries, and a Coke for the god.
That does sound like, especially in this era of fantasy, that's not something, the fries and the Coke especially, you can have a hard time tracking down.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, one of a couple of campaigns before, I mean, it kind of bleeds into this one, but similar situation. It was St. Cuthbert again. The characters were going to go into the abyss for something in particular, and he decided to help them by making them all heroes. And if you look in the deities and demigods, a hero has specific stats, and one of them being one of them being all saves are a 3. Right. Which is incredible, because all deities I think are
no, wait a minute. If you have a high wisdom and it's a mind effect spell, do you still get your +3 as a hero cleric? If all your savings would start at 3, that would mean you auto save any mind effect spell.
Yeah, I always rule that a 1 is a failure.
I would too.
But yeah, I mean that's super crazy. God, my video keeps doing the Zoom thing back and forth.
It's because you're a man of great depth.
Yeah. Well, I think what it is if I do this, it activates the. And I use my hands a lot because I'm Italian, so yeah. I guess I gotta stop moving my hands around so much. Yeah. So So we'll see what this deity does, and we'll see definitely what happens. But yeah, interactions with deities, I think they can be. There definitely is a good opportunity to have some fun.
It is. Yeah,
it's definitely a good opportunity to have.
And a couple of side notes. Number one, do not make it impossible.
Oh,
so don't make it a certain death quest.
But it's got to be hard.
You have to go down and defeat Despater in hand-to-hand combat. No, because nobody's gonna ever do it.
But naked.
Naked.
With only your decks.
I cast command. That's Jeremy. I don't know if that's coming out on the mic. That's Jeremy trying to call me on a message.
Tell him to get on there and talk to us.
Yes.
Yeah. So another thing, and Fred, chime in here or anybody else that's out there. How do you guys? How I've seen a lot of different ways. And somebody on Reddit was claiming this too, is that, and I've done this too before for energy drain. Okay, so for level drain,
I had to turn my mic off. We're live on the air right now, Jeremy. You want to join us? I'm trying to think of how to send him a link. Can we put him a link in Facebook?
I can do that. Yes, I will send him a link.
I think you can get by with just audio.
No, you can't.
Oh, never mind.
Yeah.
Can I call you back in a little while, my friend?
Okay, we are live.
All right. Be good.
Anyways, what I was going to ask Chris, so how do you like doing energy drain? I know that some people think, oh, this is such a horrible, it's so hard and so tough on players. I mean, it's not supposed to be easy.
There's something worse than energy drain.
Yeah. And well, let me finish here. Because the thing is that players or I think DMs that are scared of pissing their players off. Well, number one is old school D&D is tough. Your character dies, you freaking roll up another one. Yeah. I mean, bottom line, and that's the problem with I think newer school stuff is people get so invested in their characters. They have such a huge backstory. They put so much work into it. And then they have so many death saves and so many this and that death becomes not it's an option, but it's not as it doesn't weigh as much as it does in old school gaming. And so it's just part of old school AD&D. BX is energy drain. You're going to lose a level if you're low level and you come up against a white or a high level and a mummy. Those are tough too. Vampires, all that crap. So I've seen where some DMs say, well, they'll get a saving throw versus spells or something like that versus energy drain. I don't particularly do that. I have in the past, but then now I'm at the point where, old school D&D is tough. And your option is to you can run away always, or, that cleric better get in the front and put out a holy symbol, like kind of what you just did. So
love your cleric.
What are some ways you've seen people do energy drain? And just give me a little background on what your thoughts on.
When I would drain characters in any of my campaigns, I would always provide them a means to go and recover it, which would, of course, be at 90 degrees to whatever their main quest was at the time. So, folks don't realize this. We have a quest right now to try and rescue a noble from the thrall of the slave lords. All right. I would then say, okay, well, if you go and see this cleric that's across the ocean at a different town, he can give you a restoration, but he's going to demand a magical item at least +2 or better quality in exchange for that on behalf of Cuthbert, and give them that opportunity to make the choice. I want to say players actually get very upset if they feel that everything is out of their control. If they feel that some things are out of their control, that adds the element of risk, okay, which is a nice thing from my perspective. When you're playing old school games, is the risk is there always,
and that's the word I was looking for, is the risk there. I feel like the risk is very much so lessened, and
yes,
and so that is a big part of old school gaming, is the risk. Like, we open this door, there could be something that can wipe us out, and that's where parlaying comes in. That's where finesse, running, tactical, approach, all that kind of stuff. So, yeah.
Well, you can remember somebody trying to make a fake fireball way back when against Norkers.
And that was the first game you joined us where you were,
and it didn't work, but it was fun, and
it was like the fire sticky bomb or something like that.
But it was fun, and we tried, and it didn't work. But what the heck?
Norkers are nasty for low level characters. They have a 1+2 hit die, and I think they have a 3 armor class, which is
it was really pretty up there. Yeah,
pretty tough for
I was hoping their intelligence was low enough that a flaming ball of bacon grease coming at them would look enough like a fireball to scare them, and it didn't work. It didn't work. Yeah, they're not smart enough to be scared of things like that, I think, was the answer. So.
Yeah, so for you, it's level drain. There's no save. There's no
right, but it's not impossible to get your level back. It's a choice.
Yeah.
What's more important to you? And if you're playing a paladin and you've been quested to save a noble, you're going to leave your level be gone.
Yeah.
You're going to say, "I'm sorry, I will not be turned aside from this noble quest upon which my God has set me. I'm a paladin, for God's sakes."
Yeah.
And literally, for God's sakes,
Yeah. Wow. So my ruling on this is energy drain is energy drain.
Well, you know what's, again, let me follow up on this. You know what's worse, and it's also a low level critter, and now you're going to want to throw these at us. I know. Stat drain is worse than level drain, because level drain is much more easily restored than stat drain.
What was that again?
Statistics.
Stat drain. Oh yeah. There's monsters that drain
like
strength
the shadow.
On. Yeah.
And the shadow is a really low level creature, but it drains strength. You want to watch Michael want to just quit the campaign, drain 3 strength from him, and watch what happens. He's gonna be like,
and he's not a strong paladin either. I think he's got a very average
14.
strength.
Yeah, he's at 14.
Yeah. So,
well, what do you mean we have to drop half of our loot? Well, you all just lost strength, and you can't carry it anymore. Sorry,
Oh my goodness, yeah. All right, so switching topics a little bit. So, one thing is, I just did a video that'll come out on Saturday or Friday. I don't know what it is. It's kind of part of the to be a better DM, how to be a better DM, and kind of just some DM tips and stuff like that. Things that I've kind of learned over the years. Not saying that I'm an expert, but just things that there's still a lot of things I gotta work on. Getting over my tongue tiedness. I hope that sounded really good for everybody listening. One thing that I think that so I talked about I talked about creating custom monsters, and I know you've created so many. I have too, And I created, like, for instance, that I was talking a little bit about the elemental assassin that I created.
Yep.
And you guys knew nothing about it.
Right.
It was inspired by the Nazgul. It was inspired by the Lord of the Rings. And basically, not to give up too much, even though you guys will find this out. Well, if you watch the video, you'll know too. The cultists have the ability to summon this creature, and it's just a creature from the elemental planes. Boom, comes out and it goes to assassinate you guys. Okay, cool. And it appeared and it tried to assassinate dog. You guys defeated it because you had a holy weapon, and that was one of the weaknesses of it. Is hidden by a holy weapon abolishes them. Who cares about the hit points? Done. Out of here. Of course, you got to hit it, and I think it's got a 2 armor class. But the interesting thing that I wanted to talk about was when you're creating monsters for old school, A, keep it simple. B, use your imagination. I inspired it off of that. My world does not have the ring wraiths, but here you go. I'm going to bring something in that is similar, inspired by. The other thing, I kind of, I want to just double click on it, is keeping it simple. And I feel like that's kind of been lost in the progression of some of the newer systems, where, if you recall, looking in the monster manual, you know what I mean? There will be, let's just talk about like the skeleton or something like that. Okay. The skeleton probably has this much description in there.
Yeah.
Okay. Because we all know what a skeleton is. Everybody's seen Jason and the Argonauts. Everybody has that image, from this.
Undead, under the control.
Yeah. So at most, some of these monsters have, 2 or 3 paragraphs or whatever. I feel like in 2nd edition, when they did the monster manual and everything had its own page, there was ecology, there was this, there was that. And, doesn't mean it's a bad thing, but I think for a DM like me, I don't need everything laid out. Now I've got restrictions. Do you know what I mean? For this monster. And I was just wanting to kind of get your kind of feel on that. I feel that there's a riff in the imagination side, because I liked seeing, looking on here, and the sea hag. Wow. I mean, think about it. The sea hag's got 1 paragraph. Yeah. Imagine how much there is really, left to the imagination for a sea hag. You know what I mean? Because of that, so the question is, do we need all that extra fluff, or is it better? Is it a journey into the right direction, or is it just what it is?
I'm going to go in reverse just a little.
Yeah.
And tell you that I think you're wrong on the simplicity aspect. I think what you're really going for, and what you absolutely need in any monster you create, is a link to something that already exists. It's what when Gary and I would design stuff, and Gary was a past master at this. He would design things into it called links to reality. So if, for instance, you have a Norker, you can say, well, it's a more brutish form, almost like a cross between an ogre and an orc, and they generally wear iron armor because they're extremely strong. They're not terribly bright, blah, blah. Like you throw in a link to reality so that there is a starting point at which the person you're describing the creature to can mold an image of what you're describing around.
Yeah.
Okay?
I like it.
As long as you got that, you've got simplicity down, basically.
Yeah.
Description wise, we started writing modules that we would write for 1st edition. And there's a funny old story with that. I wrote 2 modules before I understood how copyright and trademark worked. In the early years, if you will. One was called Pitfall 1, one was called Pitfall 2. You can still
know about them.
Yeah, copies of them floating around. And it said on the front, because I was under the impression that they would be considered much like when somebody makes a brush to be used with a certain kind of makeup, great for use with L'Oreal something, whatever, that it was a companion product. But they didn't view it that way because, of course, they put modules out. And so if we're selling modules, you can't, because, you know, that's why. So, and it was very nicely explained to me actually by Harold Johnson. After we put out the second one, he said, just stop doing this and we'll all be okay. And I went, okay. And we did stop. However, when we started doing it again by creating a system where basically we filed off the serial numbers, one of the early OSR systems, so that we could own what we created, we added to the descriptions what I call demeanor. Now, demeanor is just, what's the motivation of this creature?
Yeah.
It's not what are their societies like. It's not where do you find them geographically. It's none of that stuff. But it's, what is it that will cause this creature, for instance, to perhaps flee combat?
Yeah.
To be bribable, to be charmable. And that to me was a necessary addition to the creature descriptions, is to know how they think. But that was all. And usually when we would put that in demeanor, it'd be one paragraph of 3 sentences. That would be it.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I think that, like, for instance, in OD&D even more, BX I can't really gauge that, but AD&D kind of fattened stuff a little bit. OD&D was, and that left for, the DM, it really put the DM in charge of where did they come from, or what do they do, or this or that, unless there was a specific write-up for them, you know, that was a canon write-up, you know what I mean?
If you were writing the adventure,
you would have that all in there.
You should give yourself a note as to why is this creature, you know, why
why
you
can give more
live next to
background,
the giant spider, and what is their motivation, you know?
I think that's super true. I'm more referencing like the monster manuals versus anything else.
D&D Beyond or whatever.
What's that?
D&D Beyond.
I just
which, by the way, don't get me wrong, a very useful I don't know, storehouse of knowledge. Okay, I've had to try and rewrite some stuff 5th edition, which, oh my goodness, is that a lot of work. And I'm not terribly good at it, to be honest. Be that as it may, oh my goodness, skeletons will have 4 pages.
Yeah. I call it, and this is just my own, and like, disclaimer, this is just my experience and my opinion, but I call it fluff creep. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if it's whether writers, and I'm not trying to bash writers, but if we want to have more words, there's more money involved in there. Also, I mean, that could be also, or is it the lack of the ability for the DM to really kind of think out of the box too? You know what I mean? Like, I need everything kind of in this lined out, because I've been on a lot of boards, and Fred can attest to a lot of this too. You get a lot of these newer GMs or DMs that are like, what do I do? And my response always is, use your imagination. You know what I mean? And I get that they want some guidance there, but it's also like, man, just use your roll with it, and I think that's an ability that a lot of people don't have. Sure, running a module, and I'll run 40% of a module from it because the rest is all made up, or I'm changing this or that or whatever. But I think it's, I don't know if that's a bad thing, kind of lining everything out, or if it's a good thing, or if it is just the reality of the progression of the game, or the zeitgeist of now, you know what I mean? I don't know. Like, exactly. Like, I will say, I will definitely show your reading the Appendix N. There's so many great ideas in any of the books that were outlined in Appendix N of DMG. I mean, if you read any Conan, if you read any of the Thieves World stuff, there's so many ideas. So I just don't know. I don't know what the answer is.
We discussed this earlier, that the progression in D&D has been to a greater degree of player control versus GM.
Yeah, that's another thing we could talk
about. But that makes it more difficult to be a GM. So while you want to say, well, GMs don't want to do as much work as they used to, well, they're already doing more work than they used to just to play the newer systems. And so they're looking for some place where they can make up that extra effort on the far side. And that's why you've got more detailed descriptions, in my opinion. is because then there's less work for the GM to do. One of the very earliest things I learned in designing adventures is you've got to have a really good synopsis. That should be the first thing in the adventure that the GM reads, so they understand the motivations of all of the encounters that are described in the rest of the adventure. Not just the boss encounter, but everybody and why they're there, so that everything makes sense. If you don't give a good synopsis, yes, the GM can make one up himself, herself.
Yeah.
But it's work. And
Yeah.
A third edition, a fifth edition GM, in my opinion, already has enough work to do.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I recommend for any new DM or anybody that's struggling with that is to run a game that is fully randomized. Fully randomized.
Just run it out of the back of the DMG.
I mean, serious, all random. I mean, I've done it before where you just you figure out what if it's a dungeon, you know, you could use okay, I roll a d20, okay, it's 20, okay, it's the corridor turns left, or do you know what I mean? That thing actually really works pretty well.
It does.
But then I was going to say also, not only on, you know, the metrics and the characteristics of the dungeon you could randomize, but also the encounters. Like not knowing that they open the door and there's 15 skeletons. Okay, sure. Or there's heaven forbid, there is an NPC party in there. Right. That's usually that'll kill a DM.
Those are the killers, yeah.
That'll kill a DM and kill a group, because now you got to play all these characters. What's their motivations? What's their reasoning for even being there? What treasure have they found already? What you know, are they going to cooperate, or are they going to fight, or do they want to parlay, or you know, that kind of stuff? Which I also feel parlaying is a lost art, you know, because everybody wants to go in and bash and smash, but I think for any new DM, they should really try that and go to a con and just do sketch the map as you go. Don't just take it all from your head. It's going to be fun. You know, you might stumble and all that, but you know, it really kind of raises the bar of your ability to improv. You know what I mean?
Our Friday night games at college were always Adventures in Random Land, is what we called them.
Adventures in Random Land. That's a great way to put it.
We'd roll them right out of the back of the DMG, and everybody played. There was no GM.
Oh, you could do that. Yeah. You could do that. Yeah.
And then we'd rotate who'd roll for the monsters.
I was just going to ask you how you guys handle that.
But good old Adventures in Random Land.
Yeah. So you kind of relay that to being the fact that and I think that it really started in 4th edition, where it's now the game is being controlled by the players versus being.
It was more so even in 3rd edition. There's more.
Yeah, and I don't really have a lot of experience in 3rd and 3.5 because I did play 3 and I did play a little bit of 3.5, but when I came back. After a 10-year hiatus, 3, I think it was right before 4E came out. So 3.5 was there, but we had the 3E books. And I think that version in particular didn't last very long because there were some broken pieces in it that people identified. I can't remember. I think the Ranger was, equivalent to Superman or something like that. There was some things in there that were super gnarly, but I just remember that 4E, there was a time I was running for, and I've told this story already once, but I was running a game for the Wednesday night encounters. I think that's when Wizard Watsy started the encounters every Wednesday at the game store. And then you'd have, there was a very specific encounter, and it was a puzzle and an encounter. The next week, puzzle and encounter. And it was a big arc. And I remember there was a character, I did something, and the player looked at me and says, "You can't do that."
Yeah.
And I said, "What?" And she said, "Yeah, according to," and I think it was a girl that said this, "according to blah, 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 in the players, whatever, you can't do that." And I'm like, "Okay, I'm out." Yeah. And I said, who wants to go and play AD&D? And a lot of those people grew up with AD&D, and I said, okay. And then we stopped, and that whole group moved over, and I think a couple people left, and played for, because I'm not gonna. That's just not how I play. You know, I hate to say this, but in old school, the DM is kind of the god. He's the god of the game. What he says, and it's a respect thing, and it's kind of a not a respect thing, but it's a known fact that the DM runs, and it's his final say. You know what I mean? And for a player to be able to tell me no, you know,
Yeah.
I was like, whoa, this is a different game. This is which we know for you was kind of a different game, even though,
well, I had friends at Wizards at the time, Hasbro, if you will, and I told them, I said, if you just call it Dungeons and Dragons tabletop adventure, miniature adventures, you'll sell a ton of them, and you won't upset all of the old grognard, D&D players. But if you call it 4th edition, you're going to piss off a bunch of people.
Yeah.
And now, the gentleman whose name will remain hidden, shall we say, he agreed with me, but they would not go for it at Hasbro Corporate. Oh, no, it's Dungeons and Dragons 4th edition. That's just the way it is. And anyway, yeah.
So you made the comment it's kind of tough for you to write for 5e. Is that how does that tell me a little bit why, or what are your struggles? And I'm not saying that, and we're not version bashing here. It's more of
right. Oh, and don't get me wrong, I enjoy playing all the versions, even 4th. I enjoy playing. I just don't enjoy running them all, and certainly not trying to create adventures for all of them. 5th edition, the biggest problem I have is I'm used to with 1st edition. I'll just make up a spell every single time. There's a spellcaster that's an NPC or a monster or whatever he might be. It's because he's got a unique spell that's all his. Can the magic user in the party learn it? Sure, if there happens to be a scroll or whatever book around or something, if it's not an innate ability. But I'll just make them up, and then I don't have to worry about, well, that's not how a lightning bolt works. Well, he's not throwing lightning bolt; he's throwing lightning burst.
That is so funny that you even say that, because I have so many times.
But every time you do something like that in 3rd or 5th, you have to look and see if somebody's already done that.
Yeah, well, it also kind of breaks some of the mechanics too, I think.
Yeah.
Especially in 4th. 4th, there was no. I don't think there was a leeway to ad hoc things like that. Everything was very cause and effect, and
well, it was a miniatures game.
Yeah.
There isn't leeway in miniatures game. You play miniatures games, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Oh, I have a friend that swears by, three friends that swear by that version, that edition, and love it.
Well, because they enjoy playing it as a miniatures game.
Yeah. And it's funny because one of them in particular is a wargamer. So there it is.
I have written a few miniatures games as well. So
yeah. Maybe someday we'll get on here and we'll demo one.
Ooh. I keep trying
what's your favorite one that you actually?
I got to try and talk you into playing a game of Wild West War Pigs with me. It's a much simpler game than Boot Hill or any of the more realistic. I will.
Yeah, more complicated.
No doubt
say. Just say more complicated.
But it's a fairly well balanced game, and it's just a laugh riot. It's hilarious because okay. Now we're not talking about D&D at all.
That's fine.
The troop types, for instance, available in Wild West War Pigs go all the way from Greenhorn to veteran gunslinger, right?
Got it.
So you've got the guy, and it was when we were doing play testing, and I adjusted the numbers since, so don't get any bright ideas. But when we were doing play testing, Greenhorn was a free troop type. You had to buy equipment for the guy, which would cost you points in the miniatures game to build your army, much like Warhammer. Okay.
Wow.
But the troop type was free. And so I had one of my buddies in game testing decided he'd have all Greenhorns, all of which had dynamite.
Oh, God.
And all they did was, and because if you're a Greenhorn, you try using dynamite, the odds are really high that you're going to just blow yourself up. Okay.
Yeah.
And they were all basically Al Qaeda, because they'd wander in wherever I had more than one guy and go, "Hey, mister, you got a light?" and blow themselves up and kill everybody within 10 feet, Okay, that's a game hole. All right. Yeah, good job there, son. Yeah, we fixed that one. But hey, mister.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're coming up to the hour. Anything going on you want to chat about? You want to
Oh
talk
my
about?
goodness.
Or you want to leave everybody with, or?
I am working on just like 11 books simultaneously right now. I'm working
Oh
on
my
Lance
God.
book, and I'm working on 2 different adventures for Inner City, and I'm working on 7 different adventures, although they're written at least, thank God, for Castle Wolfman. All I'm doing is trying to punch them through layout and get them edited. So
Yeah.
it's a busy time at Inner City Games right now. And you
Yeah.
know what, dude? I got the best job in the world. I mean, my God,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
I get paid for this shit.
Can you stop? Can you please stop complaining? Jeez, man.
It does keep me from sleeping much, but
Yeah.
that's because I look up and I go, "Oh my God, it's 5:30. I better get to bed." You know, yeah.
Well, at least you have Monday night where you can
And I have
actually.
Monday night to unwind, yes,
Yeah.
and
Monday
save
night.
the paladin. You know,
Yeah.
my proudest moment will be saving the paladin's level.
Yeah, and during this conversation, I think I've come up with the idea of how we're going to handle it, or how
There
I'm
you
going to
go.
handle
Well, I'm sure I gave you way too many ideas.
it.
You will receive an invoice. You know.
Yeah. Oh God.
And bottom line,
All
I'll just say,
right.
I want my wisdom point. No, anyway, yeah.
Oh, hey, there we go.
There you go.
All right, everybody. Chris, hey man, thanks so much for coming on. Fred, it was good
Thanks for
chatting
having
with
me.
you. We'll be back next week. I think we're gonna probably change this to Thursday, so we're not bumping heads with a couple of the other live streams out there. I'm not sure yet because we're just here having fun. So, yeah. So, we got a couple videos coming out this week, and we'll see you guys next week.
Well, and if these guys keep begging off, right, and not showing up on Wednesday, you got to change it to the DM and friend. That's all.
Yeah. We missed a couple people that promised to come on today are not here, but we had a good time.
We did.
All right, my friends, you guys all take care.